Right? They're gonna be like, damn, took hella long.
We're live.
Right? All righty. Welcome everyone and happy Friday. Welcome to today's episode of Freedom Fridays. I'm your host, Jorge Martinez. This week, my co-host Melody is actually out as she just actually had her beautiful baby boy. So congrats to you, Melody. Super excited. Saw the little baby boy is such a gorgeous beauty. And so for today's special guest, I actually have Raquel Quinet joining me. Raquel is a highly sought after business coach, real estate industry professional, entrepreneur, and investor who has mastered the art of building and scaling successful businesses. And not only that, but she's actually the coach for our team's leadership here at Team Fast with eXp Realty. So welcome, Raquel. I'm super excited to have you.
Excited to be here. We're here.
Yes, we're here. And everybody, if you're joining the call, thank you so much for your patience. Had a little bit of technical difficulty on my end, but most important of all, we made it. So if you guys have any questions as we go along the way and you're joining the call, feel free to drop them in the comments and we'll go ahead and be sure to ask Raquel. So Raquel, I have to ask you, this is probably, I've met you in July back at our Team Fast retreat in Cabo when you spoke to us. And then I saw you again at the office a few weeks back for an event that our team threw. And honestly, I have to say, every time that I've seen you, you just not only light up the room, but you truly are an icon in my eyes. Like you are very inspirational in the sense that you're not only a mother, a wife, but you're also like this like woman of so many facets. And how do you do it? Like, how'd you get into real estate? Because I believe that's where you said you first started off, right?
Yep, I definitely started in real estate in 1999, so I will date myself. And it was more of a hobby. I started part time. I wanted to be an investor. I didn't want to be a real estate agent, and I fell in love with the business. That's really how it
Okay.
started. And then there's just obviously like there's been this long journey from what you just read to building our first team ever, because and all of this I think happened by accident. I don't think we plan when we're younger to be like, I want to grow up and graduate to be a real estate agent. I think all these things that I've gotten to do, and I've been very blessed, this industry has blessed me with so many different opportunities, was all because I decided to show up. I decided to put in the work, and then a new opportunity came that I decided to explore. That's really, I think, it in a nutshell.
I love that. And you know what's actually interesting is I actually got into real estate by chance myself. I was in tech pre-pandemic, and I felt like so many people had always told me, like, you would be a great real estate agent. But for me, I've never really cared for sales, and I got my degree in comm. But for some reason, after college, that is all my degree and my personality have always attracted are sales roles. Like worked at Yelp for a few years, then worked at another tech company. Pandemic happened, then I became a realtor. So, what is for when people are first starting out? What is like your biggest like? What is the like biggest advice to real estate agents when they're first starting out?
I think it's just do the work. I really truly believe if you want to get in this business and you really want to make it and be successful, is you got to eat, breathe, and sleep real estate. You got to learn as much as, and maybe it was the time that it was in because I looked so young and people didn't take me serious, or maybe that was, the story that I had back then. I just got my hands on just hanging around with the top producers in the office. I wanted to be their assistant. I wanted to carry their open house signs. I wanted to listen to their phone calls even when there wasn't any training, because I'm like, man, if they're the top people, I always see them getting awards, I might as well follow the people that are actually succeeding in this business. And maybe they can help shortcut, some of the things, but I still had to show up and do the work.
So when you were doing that, and I love that by the way, because that's actually what I did when I first joined Team Fast back in March. I was just super hungry to learn. And when you did that back then, I feel like times are different. Were agents more about competition, collaboration, and did they like were you willing to do it for free or were you like, hey, I'll take 10% even?
Yeah, I think it was very closed-minded back then versus today. I think it's way more collaboration, way more people want to share. So I was like, I will work, and it's Caesar Brand, John Miller. I mean, I remember them still to this day, right? I will go and do it for free. I'll host your open house. And even back then, it was like, I don't want you doing the open house because it's my seller. What if you piss them off? And I was like, I promise you, I'll take great care. And so I think it was the other thing that I learned early on, if I wanted to learn something, I had to like beat them to the office. So I could actually show that I was hungry outside of just speaking and telling them, please, 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 is I actually was beating them into the office and then being the last to leave.
Oh,
Right.
wow.
So they would go, okay, she's serious. She actually does want to help. She's always hanging around. And I was like, whatever you need, I'll be your assistant. And it was for free. It was for free. Then I partnered with somebody and it was 50-50. And then we would door knock, 10,000 homes back then in different neighborhoods. It took us a whole week, and I'd be chased by dogs. And like, yes. And I would be like, oh my God, this sucks. But it gave me appreciation to try out all the different things and figure out what I really loved about the business.
10,000 homes. Honestly, I have to applaud you for that because I feel like that's what I've noticed is very different amongst new agents these days is that a lot of agents are scared to even door knock 25 homes. So the fact that you were doing about 10,000 homes is like, because
We
it's
were
like,
like door dropping. It took a whole week, right? And it was between two people, so it was like 5,000. But your feet would hurt. But I think it was a lesson, and it gave you, oh my gosh, this is why we have all the listings in the neighborhood, right? It was like once a month we had to do it.
And so compared to when you first started off, are you still utilizing a lot of those techniques in your real estate business today? Because I know in today's day and age, we now have technology, social media, and I mean, you're basically a social media influencer as well. So at this point in time, my assumption would be that now leads are coming to you versus you having to go door knock on 10,000 homes. So how is it different for real estate agents versus back then versus today?
I think you have the power of social media and leveraging social media. I think it's a lot easier today. Back then it was phone books and calling. Now I think you can send DMs and you can look anybody up and see if you can get through that person through a DM, which I heard a stat that 80% of DMs are being opened today. And that's huge because if you think about even one-on-one prospecting, you outbounding and calling, not everybody's picking up when you're dialing, even if you have a triple dialer, right? But if you can send 10 DMs a day, that's 2,500 DMs for the year. Even if 10% of those people went into your database, that's 250 new people in your database that you could potentially help buy, sell, invest, or be a referral partner for you.
Oh, wow. See, I love that. And one of the biggest things that sorry, my voice, I'm getting over a cold.
I know.
So when I went to a conference recently, and I'm curious what your thoughts are on this, because at the conference, they were talking about how kind of door knocking, it's kind of like a 50-50. I've heard people say door knocking kind of is dead, but I hear it still works for quite a bit of people, or a lot of people actually, that are willing to get out there, put in the work. But then there's also those people who do virtual door knocking where they go on their phone, they go on Instagram, they go on Hayward, California or Union City, California. And what they'll do is they'll go ahead and prospect that way and like people's post and tags and comment that way. So have you or any agents on your team tried that method, and has that worked for them?
Yeah, 100%. There's communities that you can build within your cities. There are targeted ads that you can go and, scrape list. That you could skip trace people today. I mean, I think, like I said, with the beauty of technology and data, I think it's a lot easier. And you can even combine the two. So you go door knock, then all of a sudden when they go on Facebook, they're seeing your ads, whatever you're running.
I love that. And what's interesting is even when Kenny talks to us, he tells us about parasocial marketing. And I've noticed firsthand, like it actually trips me out to see as it really implemented social media and even my own business, how people, even when I go to the gym now, I actually always tag, and now I see people at the gym that I'll be in the sauna and they'll be like, "Hey, I actually saw your reel on Instagram. It populated in my explore page." And so kind of tagging everywhere that I go, I've noticed it populates my content out even more, and more people know me, or they've walked up to me and feel like they know me because they've been like, "Oh, I've met you before. Oh, wait, no, I saw you on Instagram," which is so trippy because the power of social media is so much bigger than I think anyone probably could have fathomed when it first came out a few years back. Because my Instagram, I've had since 2011, which is so interesting. The same one since I think I graduated, so since high school, basically.
Oh
And it
my
is
gosh.
so trippy to see like people have seen me evolve from this wild person to this entrepreneur. And it is amazing how powerful social media can be. Um, so one of my things is that I wanted to ask you is, for me as a newer agent, excuse me, for me as a newer agent, this market is all that I know. I got licensed in August 2021, but I didn't go full time and quit my salary role until March of last year. And so for me, this market that is hard, or like like a roller coaster ride, is literally all I personally know. And so for me, I feel like it's a huge benefit to learn during this time where there's so many curveballs being thrown at us. But what is your thought on it? Because for me, I see so many agents that have been in the business for 6 years already dropping out and getting jobs. And some of them are actually my friends. And so for me, I'm like, actually, this market is pretty easy. I'm loving it. I've already closed 5, 6 deals this year. So what are
Well,
your thoughts on the market?
congratulations.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I think you're starting in the best time, because if you could weather this when the hot market comes, you'll be crushing and killing it. And in regards to the market, it doesn't matter what the market does. It's you just actually have to adjust your strategy and adjust your activities. And you just have to have the mindset of saying, like, regardless of what is happening, there is business that is out there. If you go on the MLS today, I can probably bet that there's a couple new 100 listings that came on the market today. How many of those were yours? Right? Is really what you have to ask yourself. And like I tell my kids, you can't be mad at the results you didn't get because you didn't put in the work. Right? So for anybody that's new in this market, like, learn everything, get do the activity. You're going to need quantity, right? Doing more activity, more volume to actually get a results. I think what's happening right now is a lot of people were just maybe order takers, and we had this in 05 and 06 before the recession. They really didn't need sales skills. They didn't need to follow up with people because people wanted to buy right away. They wanted to put offers in right away. They wanted to go over 100,000, and you didn't need very much skills. And like, leads were flowing from all these different sources. Now, right, when people don't have the database, when people don't have a follow up system, when they don't have a nurture system, people are struggling to find, who do I talk to? What do I do? Well, there's plenty of things to do, but are we focused on the right activities?
And so kind of tying into that, what would you say is the best lead source for you and your team?
I would say right now, social media.
Social media?
Yeah, social
And
media is here.
And honestly, I truly have to agree with you there. For me, that's been my biggest lead source since I started. I mean, putting myself out there more on social media, and a lot of it is actually my sphere of influence. A
Mhm.
lot of it has been every deal that I've done this year is my sphere of influence, and not only that, but I know my strategy when I'm using social media is sending my videos out to at least 10 to 20 people in my sphere of influence, and it's pulling from their sphere to where I've had a cousin's coworker or their friend or their husband's cousin follow me, and I took some of your strategies from every time I've heard you talk, add those people back, slide in their DMs, like some of their photos and comment, and really engage with them. And from one of the biggest things that not many people know about me is actually social media, when I first started out with it, was something I was not comfortable with. Elias challenged me on a 150-person group call and was like, I want you to post today tag me. And that's my challenge to you. And honestly, to tell you the truth, I'm glad that he made me do that, because now I truly owe that to him, Kenny, and you, because I know you coach them. And it's really helped elevate my business and even my confidence within myself that I didn't even have in myself at the time. So I have been wanting to tell you thank you for that, because you've really played a big role in that even before I met you.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you for that. And like I told you when I last saw you, is there had been such a huge shift that you can't unnotice George. If you look at his social, and I say this in sometimes in my mastermind, is like, you've got to go follow George, because where I met you and from where you're at today, there was a massive shift that like you kept popping up. And you probably did do all the things, but this is why when I saw you, I felt like I already knew you. And we were already in DMs. And so I think that there's so much power in relationships,
Mm.
leveraging social media the right way.
No, I appreciate that. And honestly, that's one of the, like, you're one of my top favorite people to follow, just because I see your social and you're just authentically yourself. I feel like I follow so many people, and you can tell when people are kind of putting on a facade. And that's one of the biggest things that I take and put into my own social media. I stopped trying to care what people are thinking. And the way that I thought of it was, if people aren't going to like me for me, then obviously I shouldn't be doing business with them. Because for
Right.
me, I enjoy those transactions or those journeys with families where I really get to intimately know them and build a connection with them. For me, I know the ones that feel fully transactional, and it's probably a personality thing for me, is that I'm like, I'd rather much enjoy the transaction and be in there with them. And it's truly inspirational. And so thank you so much for everything that you've always done, even though you didn't know like how inspirational and how moving you've been in my life, even before I met you.
Oh, well, thank you, George.
Yeah, of course. And so I'm pretty curious to know, because obviously you started out in real estate. So I kind of remember you saying earlier on you kind of accidentally got into coaching.
Mhm.
So, or how did you decide to, or how did you accidentally get into coaching, and how did that evolve to where it's at now? Because from what I hear from Kenny and our leadership team, you've truly helped scale our team so fast and so much to where now we're one of the top teams in EXP. So, how did you get involved in that, and how did you continue to evolve?
I think that coaching came naturally. When you have a team, you start to coach your team. So when I
Mm,
built my first team, of course you're going to coach. Leadership's got to show up. They don't know what to do. And even like when we were in the office as a solo agent and I didn't have the team, it's like I always wanted to help people because I was once there and somebody, a lot, like helped me. So I want to pay that forward. And so when I would see like agents that would be hungry, and I call them action takers, and you can probably see on my roster that I love talking to action takers. It's just my jam because I just know their potential. And if they're willing to do the work, I know where it could go. And so I would say that first was my team, my own teams. Then when I took the CEO role and the recruiter role at Keller Williams, I had 300 agents during the last downturn. That teaches you a lot about coaching, how to coach your agents. Yeah, we ended up having the #1 market share in the West Valley, Phoenix. And so that put us on the map for all of KW out of 700 plus offices. What were you doing in that office differently? You had to change the perception that the market wasn't great. It's like, what are we going to do about it? Right. And so we brought in classes, we brought in trainers, we've had guest speakers. And then from there, I think I ended up taking the team and expanding, building another team in Arizona and taking it and expanding it into 23 cities. That's when I started my opportunity at MAPS. So I think when you have 40 one-on-one clients and you're doing expansion and you're running 3 of your own personal teams between California, Nevada, and California, you get really good at coaching and coaching remotely. How do you get results from people across the country when you don't see them every day? Like I had to learn remote leadership at such a high level and that like bandwidth. So then when the pandemic hit, that's when I think our coaching company got birthed because it was Kenny. that actually flew out here to Scottsdale and was, Raquel, I just joined EXP. You're the only one that I know that has expanded. Help me build this team. Like, he had worked for clients I already knew. I've known him for a really long time. He was on my board at Aria. And so I was like, you ready? And I remember him and another person that was there. I was like, you ready for this? And I remember even getting on the team leadership team with Team Fast. And I was like, one day you guys are going to look back at this call and we're going to make history. You guys ready for it? And sure enough, less than 2 years, what you guys have done, what Team Fast has done, has been phenomenal. Like, no one's ever grown that fast in the history of real estate and get that big of a volume, that many agents. Usually it's brokerages, but never a team.
No, I definitely was amazed by Team Fast before I joined. I came from a smaller brokerage that was like 14 agents, local mom and pops. Like, they were still on top producer and barely transitioning over to KV Core, no social media. And seeing what Team Fast has done and how fast newer agents are developing, like, there's some newer agents that have been licensed on our team for less than 6 months and have already closed over three $1 million deals. And
It's
I'm like,
crazy.
holy smokes. So definitely, I have to truly applaud you there. And that's actually one of my, I'm going to share this with you. I just shared it with Elias not too long ago. One of my biggest goals, and I have it on my mirror in my bathroom, so I see it every day, is to be a keynote speaker on stage and actually speaking to people. So when Mel asked me to do this podcast not too long ago, not going to lie, I kind of was like, you know what? I don't know, Mel. I don't think it's for me. But then I stepped back and I thought about it. And I was like, you know what? Actually, if I don't do it, I'm not living up to my goal and I'm not going to push myself and not grow. But
Mhm.
I truly want to be in your shoes at some point. I can't walk in heels, by the way. Never tried it, but I feel like I just have to say that.
I love it.
And I'm already 6'3", so I'd probably be like 6'5". But um, definitely, that is one of my biggest goals, is to be a keynote speaker. So again, you're super influential to me. And I'm actually super excited. I saw today you announced your Play Bigger event in Scottsdale. Tickets are live. So I am actually ditching a friend's bachelorette party to go. I told myself I really want to go, and I'm going to go. So I'm super excited. And for those that don't know what your Play Bigger event is, what could they expect, and why should they go?
So our Play Bigger is a 2-day event. It is nothing like you see. You have the most powerful players in the room. You get to, proximity is power, and you get to learn from them, but you also get to work on your business. It's most of the time we go to conferences and it's, I'm going to show you what I did, and then you go and implement. No, you actually get to go side by side and workshop some of your stuff, some of your challenges, which I absolutely love, that you're going to be walking away with things that you can actually or have already implemented in your business because of hearing somebody on the stage. We're bringing different speakers. I wanted to bring different speakers from outside of our industry. We have Candy Valentino, who's going to be talking about wealth habits, and she's had several exits. We have George Bryant, who is outside of the industry, but is behind some of your big names like Vital Protein, Titleist, Nike, like 8 and 9 figure brands. And he's going to talk about what it means to have, and like you said, it's not transactional, it's relationship, a customer journey that keeps on giving in the real estate space so that you can nurture your database and get referrals. And then we have Leah Keys. She's been on Oprah's top 10 favorite list for like her jewelry. So she's going to come and talk about how she went from being homeless to, building this massive empire, and being one of Oprah's friends, right? So just a wide variety of different things, plus top agents across all different brands. It's truly about collaboration. And we're at the W Hotel in Old Town Scottsdale. And that's called Entertainment District in Scottsdale. So you're bound to have fun.
Oh my God, I'm super excited. And honestly, I am going to recruit some people to come with me on the team, some of my close friends. Because honestly, from what you just said and how your events have been so far, every time I've seen you, they've truly just have been mind blown. And every time I leave, I always feel even more inspired than when I showed up. So definitely excited to hear that you have incorporated panelists and speakers from outside of the industry, because I feel like it gives us an all-around perspective in real estate. Even though we're in real estate, we're in this industry, hearing from the same people all the time, but also hearing from outside and how people have incorporated different things into building their business is also great, because there's a lot of things that are transferable from even like a jewelry business. Honestly, before, probably over a year ago, before I did more self-development on myself, I probably would have been like, why is she having a jewelry person? But I definitely see the value in having people that have built their, I hope that makes sense. Whoops. Um, but yeah,
Totally.
but
Totally.
yeah, no,
I
my
think
train of
that,
thought.
yeah, I totally think that it makes all the sense in the world. And people ask me, like, how were you able to pioneer something when there was no model? It's because I looked outside of the industry. How were you able to build a team when there was no playbook, right? How were you able to build a huge mortgage company when nobody else had done it? It's because
Right.
I had other friends in other industries. And I think there's so much that you can learn, which is really, really, really exciting. And we're not one of those big conferences. It's capped at 100. So the first 100 we're done, because it's like a very intimate mastermind.
Okay. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm definitely going to look into it once we hop off the call even more, tickets, about getting my ticket. So,
Yeah.
and
And
before we
you'll know
close,
every person in that room, including my speakers.
you said I will. Oh, by the
Yeah.
end of it?
Yeah. By
Oh,
the end of it. Mm-hmm.
I'm super excited. So before we close out, I did want to ask you one last thing, because everyone has different daily habits. So I know having your daily habits in place is truly, truly detrimental to how we operate our business, how we operate in our daily lives. So what is your daily routine or your daily habits look like?
Okay, so different days, but for the most part, I would say I wake up, I practice gratitude. I say 5 things that I'm actually grateful. It's been a practice for forever, especially during your challenging times. And then I actually get my body moving first thing in the morning. It's just how I operate. It doesn't have to be, before it used to be hard workouts, but now it's like I just need to get my body moving, even if it's like running on the treadmill, walking on the treadmill. And then I would probably get ready for the kids, and then they go off, and then I kind of start my revenue routine. So my revenue routines are my money making activities. My week is kind of planned out. I have different days for different things, and then I would like to say that I meditate, but I don't. You know, that comes when I'm like, okay, I think I should meditate, or I think I should journal. But there is one practice that I have every Monday. It's blocked off from 9 to 12. I don't have anything on my calendar. And that is my session for me. And it is my fire session. I light a candle and I start looking at my calendar from last week to this week, going, what should I have eliminated? What drained my energy? What actually lit my energy up? And what is it that I'm missing in my life that's going to fulfill my energy this week? So it's like all about what lights my fire, and who do I need to connect with? So that's like one practice that has been a game changer for me, is my Monday mornings for sure.
Ooh, I love that. I truly love that, because I know for me, I'm still working on figuring out a more refined schedule that works for me, trying different things out. So I might actually incorporate that. I love that.
Yeah, I work off of a GPS, and I can also share it with you. It's my goals, priorities, and strategies. So I like making them turn green. I have my goals for the year, what they are for the month. I bring them down to the week, and then I go on my calendar and go, where can I fit this? And it makes
Oh
me
my God.
intentional about even like my vacations.
Oh my God. I would love that. I would totally appreciate if you would share that with me. Well, again, Raquel, thank you so much for joining me on today's episode of Freedom Friday. It was truly an honor and a pleasure having you and speaking with you. This was definitely long overdue, and I'm super excited to look at your Play Bigger event and get my ticket so I can be there in May and really surround myself in mastermind with other powerhouses and really take home a lot of great knowledge and insight. So if you watched today's episode and you loved what you saw, you took a lot of golden nuggets from Raquel, definitely don't forget to follow her on Instagram at It's Raquel Q. Definitely take a peek at her Play Bigger event in Scottsdale, Arizona, May 11th to the 12th. You don't want to miss out. As she said, it's a small circle of 100 spots. Get your ticket, and I'll see you there. Thanks again, Raquel, and we'll see you next week.
Hi, everyone.